Gurney Street project is a 1.5-mile stretch of Conrail tracks in Kensington, Philadelphia. The area has become a safe haven for persons injecting drugs and engaging in sex work. The goals of this project include creating a strategy that addresses these issues in a compassionate, multifaceted, and culturally competent way.
I was born and raised in Kensington. My heart, it's in that area.
Personally, el vecindario a donde yo me crié, the neighborhood in which I grew up.
I actually grew up in the area. I grew up on 7th and Cambria. I was around when the media named it the Badlands.
In the late 70s, I was a community organizer at the Lighthouse, and I organized on those blocks.
I've been in this area for almost 11 years. The bad areas kind of have become more contained, but we still have the violence.
If we don't take decisive action now, I don't know if there's a bright future for the Gurney Street area.
The main challenges facing the Kensington area is drugs, then it's blight, and then it's community partnership, getting people involved and staying involved. Growing up as a kid in that area, we didn't have to worry about the drug users. I mean, they were there, but it wasn't open the way it was. This was when we were growing up. You know, they were in shooting galleries inside houses. And I think as the houses were being demolished and all that, now where do they go, right? So a lot of them end up down there and out in the streets.
Those issues were there in the 70s, but the severity of the questions, the severity of every one of those issues has grown over time.
15 to 20% of the housing units are vacant, serving as shooting galleries and squat homes for addicts. L&I has taken down 28 dangerous and vacant buildings. There has been 42 clean-in seals and 70 abated properties.
Neighbors take back neighborhoods, not police, all right? And you can't do that without neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods, it's a little tougher than others. This particular neighborhood, it's tough because once again, you got to go back to the social issues that we have. We need sustainable life jobs. That's the biggest issue we have in this neighborhood.
Fairhill, the neighborhood that encompasses the Gurney Street project, has an unemployment rate of 25.5% compared to a national rate of 6.2%.
It's not a one-dimensional problem. The folks who live there are afflicted with a problem that's not really their making.
We have two of the hungriest, poorest zip codes in America, right? We don't have jobs, so the drug market has kind of taken over and become our economy. You know, when you're hungry and you're poor, and the only way to put food on your table is maybe to involved in these heroin markets, you got to do what you got to do. There's people on those corners that are keeping the lights on. They're not addicts. The addicts are coming in from outside.
As time has gone by, a lot of individuals, homeless individuals, have been literally pushed in this direction. Individuals that are being brought here through the process of recovery houses going out and reaching out to them in Puerto Rico and promising them the world under false pretense. And they get here and they end up in Kensington in a 3-bedroom house, 35 and 40 to a house. And when things don't go the way, or when the house is done with them, they dump them in the streets. They contact Puerto Rico and say, this individual left because he wanted to use. Now they're stuck here because some of these houses are keeping their credentials, their social security card, birth certificate, IDs, and in some cases selling them forward. You know, for a long time, it wasn't acknowledged that there's a problem in this area. You know, addiction, people wanna, for some reason, think that the addicts just got here. Addiction has been a problem in Kensington in this area for years, for more than 20 years. Problem's always been there, they've just been out of sight, out of mind.
Well, I think the biggest problem we're facing right now in that area is the opioid crisis. That's causing hundreds of people to die every year from drug overdose, and many thousands more to be addicted with opioids. That's both prescription painkillers and heroin. And there are 3 basic things we need to do to solve that problem. First, we need to have physicians stop getting so many people addicted to these prescription painkillers in the first place.
A lot of the addiction that's happening is as a result of somebody taking medications that for pain that they did not realize were addictive until it was already too late. You had in 2014, you had 49,000 deaths in this country attributed to overdose. to drug overdose. 60% of that was prescription drugs. People are uneducated about the severity of the medication they're taking.
We need to help people who are already addicted get into drug treatment. We know that not everyone is ready to get into drug treatment, but even people who are ready, there are definite barriers for them to get into treatment.
Officials say, well, our understanding is that people don't really want treatment anymore. That's not true. It's kind of difficult when we have roughly about 7,000 treatment slots in the city. Not beds, but slots. There's not enough space available. If you have an ID and the ID expired yesterday, you cannot use it to get into treatment today. One of the ideas with Gurney is to try to get these individuals into treatment, try to get them stable, and hopefully get the majority of them back home.
The third thing we need to do is to make more naloxone available. Naloxone, also called Narcan, this is an antidote to opioids, whether it's prescription painkillers or heroin, which can revive people who've had a drug overdose almost immediately.
When we first started doing Narcan training, overdose reversal trainings, we were training addicts to save other addicts. We've had parents get involved and learn how to do overdose reversals in case their child overdoses. We have community members, we have organizations, the library was trained. More people are getting involved and getting educated about what's happening.
So even prior to the Gurney Street project, I've seen change. In the last 4 years, you have a lot of coalitions being built. You have the Goodlands Coalition, you have Friends of Hissy, you have Friends of McPherson Square. So you have these small little groups organizing to make an impact. You have block captains stepping up, becoming neighborhood liaisons, working with 311 to report issues. So even prior to this project, there's been scattered groups forming to make a change in this community. I was driving around to take some pictures and to find a good spot to walk around that community, and I go to walk into this nice section on I think it's the Olympic outside. I'm approached by someone that says, "Hey, where you doing? Where you going?" Right? And the grass is nicely cut. They have trash cans placed there. And then I told them who I was and what I was doing, and I asked them, "Who cuts this grass?" And they were like, "We do. We cut this grass. We take care of this property."
30 to 40 tons of rubbish a month has been removed from this area so far. The removal of illegal dumping will be on a more frequent schedule. There are a total of 40 officers, 2 sergeants, and 1 lieutenant who have primary responsibility to cover this grid.
We've done some new lighting there to particularly in the residential blocks. We got a great response from the community, and people were very excited about that new installation, and they feel like the neighborhood's safer in the evening.
The community has really come together to really voice their concerns and really put to action some of their vision and some of their own goals.
Listen, there's so many great things are happening in the city, right? And we can't leave anybody behind. So if we focus on our weakest neighborhoods and our neighborhoods that have the most need, it's just going to strengthen the city overall. You just can't focus on all the other neighborhoods and kind of forget this neighborhood. It doesn't work this way. I mean, these are Americans down here, and we need to worry about them.
Whether they are addicts, whether they're community members, or whether they are police departments. There has to be a change in the way that we treat people in this society. We need to address the traumas.
We can't neglect it anymore.
We need to do better. We need to do better for our children. We need to do better for our families. Everyone, is deserving of a high quality of life, both physically and emotionally, in all social and economic sectors.
We can't turn our backs on the community. I think we have to stand up to it. I think we have to face it. We have to say we're going to take it on, and we have to struggle to succeed.
The Gurney Street project was created to aid the people in Kensington by helping them with the problems that deeply affect this area, such as addiction, violence, sex and drug trade, and homelessness. There are different strategies put in place, such as enforcement, education, and stabilization. Enforcement, where we focus on crime prevention, community policing, and safe quarters. Education, where we will promote behavioral health, community schools, and public health. Stabilization, where we will provide safe emergency housing, quality of life improvements, and long-term treatment. With various city departments, elected officials, nonprofits, and the Gurney Street community coming together to focus on the people of this area, we can solve its problems.
If we sit back and say, well, it's too big, it's too complicated, then we'll never do anything, and the chances of anything happen are about that much. But if we believe we can have an impact, if we do this collaboratively, if we do it with courage and hope, then I think we have a shot.